Yeah, so Brandon Woodruff will be out for this series. He has a right shoulder capsular injury. We're working on a second opinion and for Brandon to see over the next couple days. Frankly, his availability for the postseason is up in the air at this point.
Craig, did that come from the outing in Miami where things weren't quite right?
I think there was something there. He responded well over time, certain periods, but I think that's when it popped up again.
Is this related at all to the shoulder injury of the year earlier?
I don't know that.
Obviously, things come up in the postseason. It's a long journey, it's a long season. But how does this juggle what you need to do, and how does this affect the team?
Well, it's one man down. That's what it is. It's a really good player down, but it's up to everybody else to fill in around it and take care of Brandon's absence. Fix that feedback, Mike. Working on that.
I'm working on it. I apologize. It should be gone. There's only one way to find out.
All right. Better?
Yeah. Better.
Want to do that all again?
Craig, how about then to be able to hand the ball to Corbin Burns for game one? That's gotta, be a good feeling.
Yeah, I mean, we've got good pitching. We've got really good pitching, and we feel good about how we're going to get through this series with a lot of guys on the mound. Giving the ball to Corbin on day one is as good as feeling you can have. So, that's the way you want to start off a playoff series with giving the ball to a guy like Corbin Burns.
Did everything good with Freddie too? I know you skipped both of their starts last week.
Yeah, Freddie's doing great.
Is he game two, Craig?
No decision on who's pitching game two.
Craig, you have those 5 days at the end. The relievers are in a really good place, I would think, rest-wise.
Yeah.
How much will you go into this series with defined roles, or do you kind of consider that really matchup based as you get late into games?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd say either of those is true. You're trying to get 27 outs, and that's how you're going to go through games. And so you're going to put your good pitchers in to get good hitters out, and that's how it is. There's no roles. I think largely go out the door in the postseason, but there's still going to be some order to it, and we're going to have multiple relievers get outs, and that's absolutely a factor. And we have to have multiple guys pitch good. I think every playoff series needs that from the winning team. So, we've had a lot of success from our bullpen this year. They have pitched really well. Really, to me, wherever they have pitched, and we'll continue thinking about it like that.
With the Woodruff news, do you guys anticipate carrying more pitchers than with him?
I think that decision is tomorrow at 11. So it's certainly news that we weren't planning on. So it will come up in discussion as to how does it affect the number of pitchers we carry.
What's your thinking on not just having Peralta in game two?
We haven't played game one yet. Yeah.
Win or lose, we'll play into that?
Yeah, it could.
Could it also be how much you have to go to your bullpen in game one?
Absolutely.
Craig, outside of non-pitching question, but with the lineup and getting Canna and Santana for you guys. What did that do for your lineup? How big of an impact were they on the stretch run here and into the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing is they both played very, very well. Santana he drove in runs, he hit home runs. We are not a team that hits a lot of home runs, and so we needed those. I don't know if you want to say an easier runs, quick runs, someone who could provide that. And then Mark, I've said this before, but Mark, kind of identity as an offensive player felt like how we played offense for the second half or the last 2 months of the season. It was a tough at bat. It's low strikeouts. There's walks in there. Not a lot of homers, but there's a homer in there. And he played kind of to the best of his ability, and was a real leader and right in the middle of a lot of how we scored runs, in this newly constructed lineup, I guess.
Craig, it's been a small sample size for Josh Donaldson, but have you seen what you guys expected from him when you signed him? The numbers have kind of been similar to what he did with the Yankees. He's hit some homers, but the average hasn't really been there.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's walks and there's homers, been walks and some homers, and that's what we're going to have to get in the postseason. Yeah.
Defensively, have you liked what you've seen at third?
He's played very well defensively. I think we thought he is still playing at a high level defensively, and I think he is.
Craig, is your thinking on Mitchell still the same, that he would be maybe a speed guy, a defense guy, or a bigger role in store for him?
Yeah, I think at this point that's the consideration. Things can change pretty fast in the postseason, but that's the consideration.
Greg, on a kind of grander note, you've been in baseball your whole life. What do you love about the postseason? I mean, just you've managed it, you've played it, been to the top. What do you love about postseason baseball?
Well, I think it's just it's really the emotion of the game and the kind of the crowd that you feel immediately as you walk out. My favorite time is always like 20 minutes before a game. I love being in the dugout as that anticipation's kind of winding up for players. And it's like no other, that part of the day. And then when as the home team, when it goes our way, there's just this enormous wave of emotion that you just don't get anywhere else anywhere else. And that's just being a part of that and feeling that, nothing better. And then on the conversely, I think you can on the road side, it's like us against the world. That's how you treat it. So it hits both ways.
Well, Craig, given it's hard to score runs off your team, you mentioned the great pitching, and the Diamondbacks, they love to run, and controlling the running game has been a challenge for the Brewers this year. So, do you have anything unique you have to do with your staff to prepare for a team that just runs all the time?
Yeah, so the best thing you can do is keep them off base, and I think we're good at that, and that's still the best thing. Look, they have some players that are very difficult to stop. It doesn't matter, Brewer. It doesn't matter what team your other uniform you're wearing. So they have some guys that are elite. They have a guy who is an elite base stealer for sure. And they're an aggressive team, and I think they're very well coached in how they attack you on the bases. And yeah, we got to have a plan for it, absolutely. And it's that's it. And you got to try to slow it down. I don't think you don't completely take away teams' strengths. That's although in a 3-game series, it's the sample is so small, but over the course of a season, I don't think you completely take away a team's strengths. But you got to be cognizant, you got to be aware of it, and you got to have a plan about it.
Craig, I know what happened 12 years ago has no bearing on this weekend, but it's tough for Brewers fans to not think of the Diamondbacks and think of that 2011 NLDS series. You were there, you led off the bottom of the 10th. What does that Nigel Morgan moment mean? That's kind of a landmark moment in this franchise.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great night. That's a walk-off playoff series moment, and it was a really, really exciting night. So we'll, I guess, we're trying to duplicate the result. That's all I tell you. I don't know if any of the other factors matter, but we'll take the same result.
Take one more, and then we'll bring in Corbin.
Craig.
Sophia? Sophia?
How soon are you expecting more information on Woody with the second opinion?
Probably not till the end of the week.
Craig, you have a very young roster. How are you using your postseason experience along with your vets to prepare them for postseason play?
Yeah, I think really the biggest thing is that's just communication with players. I mean, you can have people tell you, hey, this is what it's going to feel like. You got to feel it, man, for yourself. You can't explain to somebody how you're going to feel. You got to go through it. And I think, we've talked about, you're gonna feel different, and that doesn't mean you play differently. You use all that to your advantage. Our young players have been such huge contributors for us this year that I don't know if I consider them young rookies at this point in the season. They've contributed so much to what we've done and are such a big reason why we're here. They're in the middle of this whole thing, so they're looking forward to it like the same as Josh Donaldson's looking forward to it.
Questions for Corbin Burns?
Corbin, we just got the news from Counsell about Woodruff being out for the series and TBD beyond that. How do you characterize how big a blow that is for the team?
Yeah, it's tough to have one of your better arms go down. Obviously, we don't know, the extent of what's going on and how long he's going to be out, but just means that it's another opportunity for another guy to step up and fill his shoes and do what they can to try to replicate what he would do out there on the mound. We've got plenty of depth in the starting rotation, so we've got guys that will be able to step in and give us the best, a good chance to win. So that's what's going to happen. That's what we're going to do.
That was kind of the story for you guys in the rotation all year, wasn't it? Guys down and someone else having to step up.
Yeah. We've had to do that basically since May and beginning of June. Julio and Colin, those guys stepped in and threw the ball great. How's it threw the ball great all year? Wade's been throwing the ball well. Freddie's been throwing the ball well. So we've got plenty of guys that can start games and get through as many innings as possible to hand it off to our dominant bullpen.
Corbin, you've started a game one before and a best of 5 where every game's really important. A best of 3, is it even more important to get the first?
Yeah, it's I think every game is just as important as the other, but you'd love to come out and win the first one and get it going on a good start. Obviously, it could possibly be a long month, so you want to go out and start off the month strong and get a win and get the series rolling. But the D-backs are a great team. They've been really good all year. They're really hot early on, and then picked it up a little bit here again at the end. But it's all about who goes out and plays the best baseball. And I think the way we've been playing baseball the last month and a half, it doesn't matter who we're playing, what their record is. I think if we go out there and play the baseball we've been playing, we'll be in a good spot.
Corbin, have you had a chance to gauge how different they are since the last time you saw them in June? They've made, obviously a couple pickups and added some really nice players.
Yeah, I've been looking at the last couple of days. Basically the lineup that we're assuming they're going to put up against me will be very similar to what I saw early on in the year and then, a month or so ago. But, we saw 2 completely different attack plans of what they did against me. So that's kind of the fun of facing a team for a third time now is kind of seeing what they're going to do. For me, that's kind of what I enjoy most about pitching is finding different ways to get guys out when they've changed their game plan against you. And so you have to go out there and have a couple plans in place depending on what they do. But, for the most part, I'm going to go out and attack the zone, do what I do best, and we'll see what they counter with.
What were those game plans like? Aggressive versus non-aggressive?
Yeah, the first time they weren't aggressive at all. The second time they were aggressive. So they kind of flipped the script 180. So whether it's a combination of both this next time out or if they're super aggressive because that's what worked against me last time, we'll see. That's obviously to be determined come the first inning tomorrow. But for me, it doesn't have a huge difference of what I'm going to do. It's just all about executing pitches. And the second outing against them, I didn't do that very well. The first 2 innings of that game, and did well after that. So For me, it's always the same thing. It's go out and execute as many pitches as I can.
They were saying yesterday, they were talking about how maybe you weren't as locked in when they saw you in June as you have been over the last several months since then. Has something flipped for you to get on this run you've been on?
Yeah, I mean, we've made a few mechanical changes, but nothing major. For me, it's been a lot more consistent with executing pitches to both sides of the plate, both righties and lefties. We saw there for a while when I wasn't executing the cutter and didn't really mix the ball well that lineups were stacking heavy right-handed lineups against me. In the last 3 or 4 outings, we've seen less of that again. Just that comes with better command of the cutter, throwing the slider. Slider's something that obviously developed in basically the end of July, early August, and it's become a pitch that's become really good. So that obviously counters a heavy right-handed lineup. But some of their better hitters in this lineup are going to be left-handed, and I feel like I have the most options against a lefty. So we'll see what happens. But the last month and a half have definitely been a lot better.
What's it like facing a team that loves to run, and it's kind of like they know that that they're going to try to run? And how do you even try to attempt to slow something like that down?
Yeah, so the thing in years past, I think it would kind of catch you off guard because that wasn't really part of the game for the last couple of years. This year, we saw it a lot around the league, so it's something that we're prepared for. We've seen it not only from those guys, but we've seen it really from basically every team we played outside of maybe a handful of teams. So it's something that initially, maybe years past would kind of catch you off guard and make you change your game plan, but we prepared for it. We know which guys are going to run. We know when they're going to do it. We know what we can do to slow them down. Just because we've had the luxury of facing teams that have been able to run and speed, put the ball in play, that kind of stuff. That's just somehow the game has kind of evolved this year.
Cobrin, with the way that rosters in this game can turn over from year to year and the unpredictability of what can happen in the offseason, given the status of the core group of this roster, does that change or add any intensity to this postseason or desire to get it done now while you guys are all here?
Yeah, I think every time you get in the postseason, you want to get it done. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow. You never know what's going to happen next week. You never know what's happening this offseason next year. So for me, it's always going out, taking it one day at a time, taking it one start at a time. That's something I've always said is whether it's opening day, whether it's start 12, whether it's game 1 of this wild card series, I'm going to go out and prepare the same. I'm going to go out and try to win a baseball game. That's my job is to go out and execute as many pitches as I can, give the team the best chance to win. And for the most part, I've been able to do that for the last couple of years, and I've done it this year, and that's all I can focus on. There's, obviously there's a group in there that are coming toward the end of our arbitration status, and that's out of our control. It's out of our hands. So we all we can do is focus on what we can control, and that's preparing for game 1 against the D-backs tomorrow.
Cobrin, you're facing a rookie tomorrow. You've obviously been through this a couple of times now. How much does experience matter to you? Does it get easier, I guess, pitching in these games?
I think it matters a little bit. So the game doesn't change. You're still playing baseball. You're still playing against the same teams that you've been playing all year. So it's not like it's an elevated stage. The only thing that's different that takes a little bit of time to adjust to is just the atmosphere. By my first time playing in the postseason was in 2018, and I still remember to this day getting on the mound against the Dodgers in the NLCS, and the crowd noise is just a different level. The adrenaline just a different level. It's something that, as a rookie, as a first-time guy, really anyone first time in the postseason, it's just a different level of adrenaline and an atmosphere you've never been in it before. So it can have the tendency to speed up the game a little bit. So that's really where the experience comes in of knowing what you're going to come across, knowing how to slow the game down. But if he's in good control of his emotions, then he should have no issue. But we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Talk about that atmosphere. I mean, have you guys talked at all about pitching in this atmosphere with the pitch clock, or at this point, 6 months, 7 months in, it's just second nature to have that as a factor?
Yeah, pitch clock is just second nature. We've been fortunate enough to play in front of some good crowds the last couple of weeks. So some of our young guys that haven't played in the postseason before have kind of got a little bit of that feeling. Throwing in some games to whether it be clinch or get one game away from clinching, whatever it may be. Those games have a little bit of elevated adrenaline, and you can feel the atmosphere different. But as far as the pitch clock goes, we've dealt with it all year. I don't think we have too many guys that are consistently having the pitch clock violations, so we should be good on that front.